It's early in the 20th century, and Henry Ford introduces the Model T. The American economy is strong, but the mood is laden with contradictions. It's a time of celebration and a time of distress. The American population is at a record high and concentrated in cities, where the quality of life is at its poorest.
Don't tell us that this is the best that you can do in building cities. Who built this place?
At the same time, in England, a visionary town planner by the name of Ebenezer Howard proposed a new kind of town. He would call it the Garden City, and base its design on a natural green retreat and permanent open space. A ring of natural landscapes, called the Greenbelt, would forever preserve Howard's community and protect it from any encroaching development that might one day follow.
New cities take form, green cities. They're built into the countryside. They're ringed with trees and fields and gardens.
Also frustrated with urban living standards, American planners quickly caught on to the Garden City idea.
They were concerned about how people were going to live.
And to begin development, two forward-thinking architects, Clarence Stein and Henry Wright, founded the City Housing Corporation to solicit funds from wealthy investors. The City Housing Corporation then took its capital to a small spinach farming town in rural New Jersey.
And so in 1928, City Housing Corporation went before the mayor and council of Fairlawn with this plan for a new type of city, which would be called RADBURN.
RADBURN would incorporate all the aspects of its English predecessor, beginning with the concept of the superblock.
The concept is pretty simple. It says that we'll make the home properties smaller than typical home properties that were for sale, and we'll take the additional square footage that we don't give the private homeowner, and we'll pool it into common open space, into parks.
I love living in RADBURN. I like that there's so much open space. I don't have the need to have an estate whose lawn I have to mow. I like someone else to do that.
Well, the dogs, we walk in the park all the time. They don't get to go there by themselves, but we go in the park, and we love all the dog owners in the area tend to sort of congregate at various times. And also it's a great place because many children who don't have pets at home can just go to the park and they'll always find a pet to play with.
Within these parks, the planners made room for recreation, baseball and soccer fields, tennis and basketball courts. In the summers, residents could go sunbathe or enjoy a swim in one of two pools. A summer camp program was created for kids, along with playgroups, arts and crafts, and even a children's nursery.
Our kids growing up had tennis lessons, they had archery lessons, swimming lessons.
We didn't have to go drive 6-10 hours someplace to go on vacation. We would have our vacations here. And it's just been wonderful.
RADBURN also offered adult recreation.
The people who moved here tended to be interested in the arts. They would have things like conversational French classes, you know.
But RADBURN's planners remembered something else. The automobile was coming of age, so they created a community through which not a single car would ever pass.
RADBURN was designed to separate vehicular and pedestrian traffic, so that people could go from one place to another without worrying about motor vehicles. In 1929, when there were 4 of them.
Really cutting edge, and cutting in the sense that it separated people and car, very much like Central Park did.
In order to do this, the streets would have to be designed accordingly. In RADBURN, small roads encircle the superblocks. Off of those are even more tranquil cul-de-sacs or dead ends that are lined with RADBURN homes.
A milkman and a bread man and the butcher, and all these deliveries came by way of truck or van or vehicle. The guy would drive up the street and enter to the rear of the house and deliver his goods, to where the kitchen was.
And what wasn't delivered directly to their homes was designed to be within walking distance.
The daily marketing's part of the fun. In fact, the market's just an annex to the kitchen. Another chance to chat about the children's measles or the weather, or some new wrinkle in the diet that Grandma never knew.
Markets, commercial centers, and even a commuter rail station would all be set along Radburn's edge.
In this new scheme of things, the school becomes the center and the focus of activities.
Even a school was built on one of the parks.
It's really a community.
And in this community, with houses that overlook parks, parks that residents could enjoy and where kids can play without ever encountering a passing car. Even in this little community of Radburn, all of these amenities don't come for free.
In addition to paying your property taxes, you are also paying a secondary amount to live in Radburn.
Residents here pay dues to the Radburn Association. It's a board of trustees made up of Radburn residents. The association governs the community and oversees recreational programming as well as the park's use and maintenance. Louise Orlando is the secretary to the board and Radburn's manager.
Well, you can do nothing to the exterior of your site, except if you wanted to plant an azalea bush, that would be fine.
In addition to maintaining the parks, the Radburn Association enforces a set of architectural restrictions that every resident must abide by. The restrictions apply to any changes made to a Radburn home. The intention is to preserve Radburn's historic character. An architectural committee on the Board of Trustees oversees these restrictions. Annabelle Schleyer is the chair of that committee.
We're not putting any aesthetic values on what people do. We're basically interpreting or making sure that the guidelines are being followed.
It's always worked this way in Radburn, and even today, the community continues to enjoy the many benefits its planners had intended.
It's here, the new city, ready to serve a better age, bringing the city into the country, bringing the parks and gardens back into the city, never letting cities grow too big to manage, never pushing the meadows, fields, and woods too far away. This works as well for modern living as once it did in old New England towns.
This is Radburn's annual Family Day. It's a day in the year when all the residents come out to celebrate their community, a tradition they've kept for 75 years. They play games, they picnic, and they dance in the parks.
Everybody come out and join us. Stay back in the circle. We're going to start out with a big circle. We're going to do a very simple dance. 6 ways in. Ladies, gentlemen, face right. It's a 1.
But something in the utopia was never resolved. It goes back to Radburn's foundation. In the fall of 1929, only months after the first residents moved into Radburn, the stock market took its steepest plunge in history and reshaped the Radburn envisioned by its founders.
The Depression hit America, and it hit the City Housing Corporation as well as every place else.
Just 4 years after its creation, Radburn's growth would be cut short, with only 1,500 residents, a far cry from the projected 25,000. The City Housing Corporation was bankrupt and had to sell off any remaining land.
Around these green communities, a belt of public land preserves their shape forever.
The protective green belt, meant to insulate Radburn, was sacrificed. and Radburn would never become its own town. Instead, it would be only a part of the town of Fairlawn, where even today, along the outer edge of Radburn, several plots of land remain undeveloped. This is Radburn's Daly Field. It's located along the outer edge of the community. Most of the people here today are doing things typical of Family Day. But this isn't Family Day, and residents aren't here to celebrate.
Bring friends and food. Save Daly Field. Thank you, thank you.
They're here to save Daly Field, a parcel of land that was never developed. Last year, the board that monitors Radburn and enforces its regulations secretly sold this land for $4 million to a high-density townhouse developer.
They had a meeting in Radburn on April 22nd.
The Board of Trustees were there, and also the developer was there to make a presentation.
Who would not speak at all about what they planned on doing, except they used very interesting phraseology.
The developers are telling us that they'll be, single people, either young or old, without children. They boast that they can make these child hostile.
That was one of the phrases that they used.
Imagine some developer who supposedly is schooled in the Radburn ideal,
they prided themselves that they were schooled in the Radburn tradition, and telling us it's child hostile, wasn't it?
They were trying to reassure us that the schools would not become overcrowded, and that people would have no cars because they're going to be near the train station, living in suburbia with no cars. And it was like, who are these people?
Did you sign? Did he get you to sign the petition?
Now's the time.
Now's the time. All right, I got a lie.
So residents against the sale planned a demonstration on Daly Field.
That nice to see land, a place for strolling and bocce bowling, so kids can play there.
They did it with a picnic, believe it or not. On Sunday, they headed to the park located just off of Plaza Road near Route 208, hoping to prove just how vital it is to families in Fairlawn.
Look at this expanse, this beautiful greenery. Can you believe that they're planning on putting up 100 or more townhouses here?
A plan these residents say they oppose. Residents of a community in Fairlawn known as Radburn.
May Hayden moved into Radburn over 47 years ago, but she remembers vividly the day she first laid eyes on Radburn's parks.
I mean, this vista before your eyes, if you're totally unprepared for it. And I really thought, I felt like Alice stepped through the looking glass.
But her wonderland has since changed. After the board sold Daly Field, May opened her home to her neighbors and formalized the opposition as the CCRF, or Citizens Concerned for Radburn's Future.
What happens here is that normally the trustees, their whole decision point is to pick a bush. They maintain the parks. Right. Never before have they sold land. And they say to us, too bad.
Since then, members have met weekly to voice their concerns and discuss their strategies for saving the field.
I did not know that my assessment money was paying for Daly Field. I didn't know that field was part of what we paid dues for.
The CCRF immediately drew in a variety of Radburn residents. Bob and Barbara Gremelo have lived here for many years. They're concerned that the sale of Daly Field is just the beginning, and that the Board of Trustees could sell off Radburn's inner parks.
Bob he walks every night in the parks, which he loves Radburn. Every night after dinner he takes a walk. And he comes home and he said, parks are underutilized.
Use the same psychology.
Yeah, he comes in and
from
he
10
says,
o'clock at night, they're not utilized, so we should build.
John and Anna Radice are against the development because the association told them that they couldn't play sports within Radburn's parks, and that if they wanted to play, they have to go to Daly Field.
These are the same steak marks Louise did not want me to put in the other park.
We just want what we paid for.
If you take away parkland, it never comes back. I can't remember one town that planted a seed of grass in the last 100 years. Anybody planting grass? Anybody?
But one member joined the sale's opposition for a second time.
17
so
years.
Good. 17 years. First of all, I want to give her a hand for that.
Her name is June Meyerson. In Radburn, she's known as the local piano teacher. June was around when the Radburn Association first tried to sell Daly Field back in 1987.
And at that time, they were looking to put 22 units per acre on an approximately 11-acre tract.
But the sale was stopped because contamination was found on a portion of the field.
There are 13 monitor wells all over the property. So I don't feel that it's suitable for recreational use.
Little black ink stains, come on out and play, eh?
Even though the field has since been cleaned, the RADBURN Association denied its use for the daily field picnic.
And I sent them a certified letter informing them that the land is not suitable to be used as a recreational